Hi there, guys. Hello again. Welcome to English class. I am Miss Anne. Hello, hi. So, today we are going to learn about the active voice and the passive voice. Now, this is a very, very important topic in English. It can be very, very, very confusing. Some people might even find it very, very difficult. But trust me, I've got you. I'm going to simplify this class and make this topic as interesting and as simple as possible. So, let's dive right in. So, what's this class all about? Like I said, we are learning about the words active voice and the passive voice. So, in this class, we are going to learn what the active voice is, what the passive voice is, and when you know what each of them are, you'll be able to differentiate between the active voice and the passive voice, and also you'll be able to identify sentences that are in the active voice and sentences that are in the passive voice. And not just that, you're able to switch between them. You're able to change from the active voice to the passive voice, and also able to change from the passive voice to the active voice. So let's begin this class properly. All right, so let's begin. Now, active voice and passive voice are two different ways of constructing sentences. None is the correct way and none is the wrong way. They are both correct, it's just that they are different. Now, how do we differentiate? I would put it like this, that active voice is kind of the one that we use when we are speaking every day. Like all of these sentences I've been, constructing, or all the words I've been saying in this lesson, they are all in words. Active voice. So it sounds, proper. We use it sounds more clearer, it sounds more natural. But passive voice is kind of like as if you are twisting your words. It doesn't look as if it's straight to the point. It just sounds a little bit strange. It might sound wrong, but it's not wrong. Let me show you some examples for you to understand what I'm saying. Now, in English language, remember that we have what we call the subject. In case you forgot, let me remind you. A subject is a person that is in what? Performing the action. Subject is a person that is doing something. Again, subject is the person that is doing something, the person performing the action. Now, one trick you can use to differentiate between the passive voice and the active voice. In active voice, the subject is the one that is starting the action. The subject is the person that is doing the action. So you always find your subject at the beginning of the sentence. But in passive voice, it's as if the action is being done to the subject. Now you see that sentence that I said the action is being done. Now that statement is a passive voice statement. Did you get the difference now? When I was talking, I said in active voice, oh, the subject does the action. The subject is doing the action. When I say it like that, that the subject is doing the action, it sounds proper, it sounds natural. You don't have to second guess what I said. But when I said the action is being done, it just sounds so unnecessary. That kind of sentence now is passive voice. So for active voice, you always find the subject in front at the beginning of your sentence. But in passive voice, you will always find the subject at the end, like towards the end of your sentence. Let's look at some examples. Like I said, this example, the chef cooked dinner. The chef cooked dinner. What's my subject in this sentence? The chef, because that is the person that is doing the action of cooking. The action there is what? Cooking, cooked. So the chef cooked dinner. If I want to say that same sentence in passive voice, it now becomes dinner was cooked by the chef. Dinner was cooked by the chef. Can you see that? So you can see that in active voice, the chef was at the beginning of the sentence because that's the person that is cooking. Now in passive voice, the chef is at the end of the sentence. Still the person that is cooking, but we have carried that subject and placed it at the end of the sentence. So that is one tip you can use to differentiate between a passive voice and an active voice. So for active voice, you will see the subject at the beginning, in front of the sentence. But in passive voice, you always find the subject towards the end of the sentence. So I want to believe that we know what active voice is and we know what passive voice is. In case you got confused, active voice, the subject is doing the action. Passive voice, the action is being done to the subject. In active voice, you find the subject at the beginning of the sentence. In passive voice, you find the subject at the end of the sentence. So I believe we have learned what active and passive voice is, and we can differentiate between the two. Now let's move to identifying them. Look at these examples right here on your screen. The first one, the police caught the thief. Now, who did the action? The police. So you can see that the police is right there at the beginning of the sentence. The police caught the thief. But if you want to put that sentence in passive voice, the police has to go to the end of your sentence. So it now becomes the thief was caught by the police. Please take note. Always maintain the tense of your sentence. If a sentence is in past tense, let the active or passive be in past tense. Example, if your active voice is in past tense, passive voice should also be in past tense. And if your active is in present tense, your passive should be in present tense. Don't leave one in the past tense and the other one in the present. It's not going to sound properly. So always maintain the tense that the sentence is in. Second example, the boy plays the piano. The boy plays the piano. Now, who is the subject of that action? Who is playing? The boy. That is active voice. You can start the boy is at the beginning of the sentence. Now, passive voice, you have to carry that the boy and put the boy at the end. So it's as if you are switching. So the subject and the object are switching. So it now becomes the piano is played by the boy. Is played. You can see the boy plays. That means it's present tense. It's something that he does. So passive voice, we still maintain that present tense and say the piano is played by the boy. Another example we have over here is the baby cried for food. The baby cried for food. So identify your subject in that sentence. The baby, right? You can see it at the beginning of the sentence. Now, if you want to switch to passive voice, what do we have to do? We have to move the baby to the end of the sentence. So the baby cried for food. That sentence is in past tense. So passive voice will now be what? Food was cried for by the baby. Have you seen that? Second example now. He washes the car every morning. It's something that he does. So that is a continuous tense. He washed it on Monday, he will wash it today, he will wash it tomorrow because every morning he does what? He washes the car. So that is the subject of your sentence. He. Now what do we have to do? We have to move that sentence to the end. So he washes the car every morning. That is a continuous tense. So passive voice has to also be a continuous tense. Our answer will be what? The car is washed by him every morning. Have you seen that? So we have come to the end of today's class. I want you to, if you don't understand it, you can always feel free to rewatch the video over and over and over again. So with everything that we have learned, can you identify the sentences right here on the screen? Which one is active? Which one is passive? Quick tip, don't forget, in active voice, the subject is always at the beginning of the sentence, while in passive voice, the subject is always at the end of the sentence. So let's see. The students' questions are always answered by the teacher. The students' questions are always answered by the teacher. Now, who is answering those questions? They said the teacher. And where's the teacher? Teacher is at the end of the sentence. So that tells you whether it's going to be active voice or passive voice. The second one, they are building a new bridge. They are building a new bridge. Now, who is building a new bridge? They. I mean, a group of people. They are the ones building a new bridge. Now, they, is it at the beginning or at the end of the sentence? So that helps you to know whether which is active or passive voice. The homework will be assigned by the teacher tomorrow. The homework will be assigned by the teacher tomorrow. So who is assigning the homework? The teacher. So is the teacher at the beginning or at the end of the sentence? Good job. All right. So with that, we have come to the end of today's class on active voice and passive voice. So I'll see you in our next video. Bye.